Well, the left celebrating this week when New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed what they deemed to be a historic pro-abortion bill.
Here's passed new legislation to protect a woman's right to an abortion.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a new bill that will strengthen abortion rights. The governor tweeted the Reproductive Health Care Act will protect Roe v. Wade regardless of what the federal government does. He called it a victory for all New Yorkers. The state also passed a bill this week banning conversion therapy for LGBTQ minors.
Why is the governor of New York, Cuomo, suddenly coming out with the most extreme abortion law you could possibly imagine, that women can kill the baby all the way to birth?
Today, after a long, long wait, lawmakers in Albany moved to strengthen abortion rights in New York.
Abortion is a medical procedure. It is not a crime.
State lawmakers from both the Assembly and the Senate today celebrated. A bill introduced way back in 2007 finally removes abortion from the state penal code. It also ensures women the right to an abortion in New York, should that federal right ever be changed by the Supreme Court. Pro-choice activists fear abortion laws could change dramatically and soon.
We have a president who's made it very, very clear that he wants to overturn Roe v. Wade. Today, here in New York, we are saying no.
For years, the law would pass the Assembly but fail in the Republican-controlled Senate. That all changed last fall when voters put Democrats firmly in charge in Albany.
I support this act. It's crucial that we protect a woman's right to choose, particularly at this moment in history where women's rights are under attack.
But Cardinal Dolan today called the new law radical.
It's so important for us to insist that the protection of the baby in the womb is a civil rights issue. It's not a Catholic issue. It's not a religious issue. It is a civil rights issue.
Today's changes in Albany would also require insurance companies to cover contraception for patients. And late-term abortions would now be legal at the discretion of a doctor or other health care providers.
We're saying that here in New York, women's health matters. We're saying here in New York, women's lives matter. We're saying here in New York, women's decisions matter.
This message is going to do the same thing. This has been too long coming, and it's been too obvious and too unfair. Women's equality in the law and in the Constitution for all.
But many Catholics were outraged by the bill, which granted more access to and late-term abortions. Bishop of Albany, the Most Reverend Edward Scharfenberger, joins us now. Reverend, so first of all, let's get your reaction to this new bill.
Well, as you just said very well, it was a celebration of abortion, which to me is a celebration of death. It's a dehumanization of a whole class of human beings in our society. The child in the womb, who clearly is a human subject from the moment of conception. All the science proves that. So even though it has been advertised as a bill that brings more equality to women, it excludes a certain class of women, the unborn. Half of all abortions are females. So I do not see it something that I would celebrate. As a matter of fact, it extends, actually it takes away protections that previously we had.
I fiercely believe, as I said more than 2 decades ago, that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights.
Hillary Clinton standing with Governor Cuomo on stage at Barnard College as they push the Reproductive Health Act. This would codify Roe v. Wade into New York state law.
We have said we're going to pass it in 30 days. I believe we're going to pass it in 30 days. And just so there's no ambiguity, we do the budget in April. I will not pass a budget until the Reproductive Health Act and the Contraceptive Care Act are passed, period.
For years, a Republican-led Senate has stopped Democrats from changing the state's abortion law. But Democrats just won the majority.
And I am sure we are both going to do it. And we know that the governor's going to sign it.
And healthcare professionals don't have to be the one. A doctor doesn't have to be the one that is even performing it. And any reason goes. Why would Governor Cuomo do that?
Well, are you alleging it's not just because he's so in favor of women's right to choose their own reproductive situation?
I am suggesting
You
that.
are suggesting
Yes,
that?
I am suggesting that.
Because that's what I thought. I thought it was just he loves
well,
women so much.
Yeah, and they celebrated this as a huge victory. They lit up the sky of New York with pink so they could celebrate this huge victory. Now, it is so unpopular with the American people. It is the fringe of the fringe. It's way beyond anything that anybody has ever proposed, way beyond France, way beyond Europe. We are on the cutting edge in New York of death.
But equal with North Korea, we should point out. We are now equal with North Korea on that.
So we got that.
I moved to New York 6 years ago. I'm from Barcelona. I didn't have any specific goal. And I shared an apartment with 2 more people. I'm a waitress right now and a manager at the restaurant. My shifts are at night. And then after work, I would go out with my friends and have drinks. So I was living like a single woman life in New York. Pretty fun. I had a boyfriend. We didn't live together, but I did have a boyfriend. One day, I realized I didn't get my period. I felt a little dizzy, so I thought I would take a test just to make sure that everything was fine. I ended up taking 4 tests, and then I called a friend and I told her, look, I'm in trouble. I think this is happening. So she told me, okay, we need to make sure, so maybe we have to go to a doctor or something. I don't have a health insurance. So I found this one, 45th Street and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. And I'm like, what? That's Times Square. So it's gonna be a good place, I'm sure. So I went the following morning with my friend from Spain. And that's when they took another test. And it was the 5th positive test. And from the last one, like, okay, yes, you are pregnant. How much more you need to know?
I think what makes Civil special is that this is a place that people can come and get away from the noise for a little bit. Living in the city, you're constantly bombarded. How we phrase it is standing in the gap, giving people a place and space to process. Stop trying to come up with a quick solution to what is viewed as a problem. So focus on the family, bought our ultrasound machine, and that's made a huge difference.
Since I remember, I always thought that I would never have an abortion. I thought I would never consider abortion, but there was a tiny moment I had to consider that just because I was so scared. What if I can? What if I have to take this? So there was just one moment, one small one, very small one, that I thought maybe I can. But then this is how I met Abel. The moment I met Abel, Meredith, the first woman I met there, and I told her, I said, look, I really want this baby, but I don't know if I can have this baby.
New York City can be very lonely, especially because a lot of people are transient. A lot of people don't grow up here, so they come here for school or for a job, and they don't have any family here. They just have their roommates or their partners, co-workers, things like that, and sometimes they can't even tell anyone that they're pregnant. Avail is probably one of the only places in New York that a woman can get a free ultrasound in her earlier phase of pregnancy within the first trimester and not have to commit to something either way. And I think for a lot of women, that's very empowering, and like being able to give them information but not making them feel pressured towards one way or another. And so by having that ultrasound, it counteracts this false message of, oh, it's just a blob of tissue, oh, it's just your missed period, which is completely unscientific. And I think something that the pro-life community can definitely benefit from is being able to present the evidence. And so that woman feels empowered by her own choice, saying, look, I've looked at all the facts. This is what fetal development looks like, and these are my own wants and desires and instincts in this situation.
I want to make sure that everything is clear, that my tiny little moment that I thought I would terminate this pregnancy was before I saw the ultrasound. That needs to be very clear. So all these thoughts were before I saw the sonogram. The moment I saw that heartbeat, changed everything. Everything. That was life. And that was her. Sorry. That sonogram made real that my daughter was there. So I had my positive pregnancy tests. Yes, and you can think, but you don't feel anything. I didn't feel anything until I was like 20 weeks pregnant. So you don't feel that there's life in there, but seeing a heartbeat and that's inside you, you can almost feel the heartbeat inside. So that was real. That made me think, I'm a mom and I need to give life to this. And that's how everything changed.
How shall we who died to sin continue to live in it? Jesus talked about coming to die. Paul talked about a death occurring in your life and mine when we came to Christ. And if we don't get back to that message of the gospel, we lose. And we ask why the culture is decaying around us. Jesus says, you are the salt, you are the light. Salt, listen, is a preservative. It preserves. We have in our culture today, in the last 40 years, 55 million babies dead. 55 million. You can't even say that and make sense of it. 55 million, 3,000 babies dead a day in our country, in our culture. These abortion mills around you and around me. Where's our salt? Where's our light? If we're not the salt, if we're not light to the world, then there isn't any salt, there isn't any light. Jesus says, you are the city on the hill. Nobody else takes up the reins for us here, guys. It's us. We're told this. Don't go to abortion mills. It's too in your face. It's too abrasive. It's too risky. Don't do it. It's not the way you reach those women. And I said, but there's babies being dismembered and disemboweled behind those walls. I have to go. It's not about just going to rescue a baby. It's not about protesting. It's about the gospel. It's about rescuing their souls and the babies. So we go. And over the last year, over 30 babies now saved from death at abortion mills. Oh, yeah. One day I go, and I pull up, and there is this hardcore, pipe-hitting atheist outside. He brought a girl in, and so he's out there talking to my people, and I walk up, and he is fire-breathing atheist. Fire! He is yelling, screaming, fighting, and I walk up, and he's like, I see, the air is taken out of everyone there. They're just like, right? He's like, I hate you guys, and I hate what you're doing here, and I'm going to stay out here just to stop you from talking to these girls. I'm going to stay out here just for that. So I get in, I start talking to him, and trying to love him and be gracious to him. But I said, where are you coming from? You an atheist? He said, yeah, I'm an atheist. And I said, well, so you believe we evolved through, simpler biological processes all the way up to where we are now? He says, yeah, evolution. I said, okay, great. So what's wrong? Why are you here? Why are you complaining? He said, I think it's wrong. I said, no, you already gave that up. You're stardust. I'm stardust. Stardust bumping into stardust doesn't make a difference, does it? You're just a bag of biological stuff, and so am I, and so are they. So what are you so concerned about? I said, I think you're acting inconsistently with what you say you believe. I think you're an image bearer of God, and you know the God that I'm talking about. And your problem is not knowledge of God or light. It's sin, like it was for me. And I gave him the story of the gospel, and he kept coming back, and I kept taking his legs off. Kept coming back, kept taking his legs off, preaching the gospel to him. And at the end of this whole discussion, after 2 hours of fire-breathing dragon, he says to me, you know what? I don't agree with what you're doing, and I still disagree. I still disagree, but I gotta tell you something. I really like you. He really likes me. After I just told this guy to repent and believe and come to Christ for eternal life and peace with God, and if he doesn't, he's going to perish in his sins, and he really likes me. So you can do it with love and grace and compassion. This is what I'm going to share with you. The story's not over. Because this atheist was there in the providence of God, because I got to preach the gospel to him, because he was right in that spot, my friend Justin, who was with me, was so worn out that he decided to walk away and around the building to the front where you weren't at before, where you can see outside Planned Parenthood to look. And just because this atheist was there, and just because he was wearing us out, Justin was in his head praying to God, I think, God, I'm done. This can't be effective. This is too crazy. It's too much conflict. This can't be good. So he gets a sign, and the sign says, please don't hurt your baby. We'll help you. And he goes to the front where the doors are, where you can see out. He stands there and he plants and he's praying, Lord, it's just worthless. I'm not coming back. I can't do this. And just that moment, because the atheist was there in the providence of God, and Justin walks to the front with a sign that says, please don't hurt your baby, we'll help you. Inside Planned Parenthood was a man named Chris. And Chris was praying in his mind while his wife was in the back getting ready in pre-op. In the lobby, God, if you want me to do something, give me a sign. So he looks out and he prays another prayer. He says, God, if you want me to stop this, let that man be the owner of dozens of cars. That van down the street. Opens the doors, walks straight up to Justin, who's there now. He says, excuse me, are you the owner of that van? Justin, the van down there? Chris says, yeah. He goes, yeah, that's my van. And the guy tells him the story. I asked God if that's your van, if I should stop this. And Justin goes, get in there, get your wife right now. You go in there and you get your wife. Chris runs in the back. He busts into Planned Parenthood. He wants to get his wife out. They're like, no, you can't go back there. Pre-op, you can't go back. He's like, you open that door right now. And finally, he was able to get to those doors and to get his wife. And they told me, don't go to abortion mills with the gospel. It's too abrasive. It's about the gospel. The problem there is not political, it's heart. And hearts don't change without the good news. You need to be willing to risk everything. And that's not the end of the story. Tina, would you come on up? Where are you at? This is the baby. So I wanted to bring you because I wanted people to love on you and just pray for you and just bless you. Do you want to share anything with anybody, something on your heart you want to say?
We're very, very grateful for them saving our baby's life and opening our eyes, and they've really helped us so much and changed our point of view. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have my baby. And so if you guys can do this and help people, I think it would be great. I mean, they helped me so much and opened my eyes and my husband's eyes, and we are forever grateful, and I don't know what to say. I'm just so grateful that without them, I wouldn't have my baby. And they opened my eyes and gave me this beautiful gift. And God is just so wonderful. And you guys are also wonderful for doing this and opening people's eyes and helping them. And
Thank you, Tina. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank you so much
for everything.
Thank you. Please say hi to her. Bless that baby. I have an irrefutable argument. You can't refute it. About bringing the gospel to the hard places despite the conflict. That's my argument. That's my argument. If we don't go to the hard places, people don't hear the gospel. If we don't go to the hard places, we don't bring the light of the gospel. You have to sacrifice everything for the sake of love for the other person. I gotta go. So let me give to you something I was on my heart. I wanted to read to you. It's an old hymn. Most of you know it. Rise up, O men of God. Have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O men of God. The kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O men of God. The church for you doth wait. Her strength unequal to her task. Rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ. Tread where his feet have trod. As brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God.